So Debbie, you did it again. 5 incredible new colors. And another video challenge. I went to the thrift store and I found 2 items. I have to say, this was a challenge for me because you know that my cottage is a neutral, calm place. So I'm excited to show you how I use those colors to fit my aesthetic for a project for my home. And I made something that's going to be a gift. Ooh, it looks like a busy morning at the thrift store. This holiday season, it's all about thrifting and thrifted style. Let's see what we can find to make over for these projects. That's a possibility. I ended up deciding on these 2 items, a cookie jar and a bucket. And I grabbed some cookie cutters and also a wooden rolling pin. My favorite thrift store ever. I've been challenged to recreate some of this stuff into new and better gifts. Think I can do it?
Oh, I'm sure you can do it. You are up for any challenge.
Of course, I can never leave the thrift store with just 2 items. So the ladies packaged up all of my things, and I'm off to recreate.
You're welcome.
This is my first project. This is going to be a gift. So I grabbed this cookie jar, and I'll be using these items as well in my make. Debi's DIY sticks to any surface, but my time was limited, so I went ahead and added a bonding primer, and that helped to also cover up that black lettering. These are some bold colors and not my typical style, but I am going to figure out how to use them. I think one of my favorite things to do is to find a way to use all of these beautiful colors in a toned down, more muted effect, and they're beautiful for blending. So I just added white swan to each of my color changes and came up with some gorgeous new options and came up with the perfect color palette for my cookie jar project. Next, I'm going to create a gingerbread color by mixing Hey Sailor and Fire Starter. Then I'll add just a touch of white swan to lighten it up. I applied 2 coats of this gingerbread color mixture to the cookie jar. Okay, let's transform this into a vintage bucket. I don't want that rope hanger.
You don't?
Nope. Okay, so I want to cut this off right here. I have got a thing for these antique wooden buckets with their beautiful painted finishes, but I've never been able to find a blue one. So that's what I'm going to be making with this vintage bucket. I started with a base coat of the color Eden, and then I mixed in a texturizing medium and put a second coat of that over the first coat. When that was dry, I decided to add just a few brush strokes and swipes of the color Electrified. When it was all dry, I gave it a coat of Debi's DIY Big Top. And now let's make some cookies. Actually, not real cookies, air dry clay cookies. So I just took off a chunk of that air dry clay and I used the little rolling pin that I found to roll it out to about a 1/4 inch thick. I cut out several cookie shapes with the cookie cutters that I found at the thrift store. Next, I cast a few pieces of that beaded trim from IOD's Classic Elements mold. Those get glued around the cookie jar lid. My air dry clay cookies are going to get a coat of crinoline to make them look a little more delicious. For this part of the process, I'll be working with the clay while it's still soft. I don't want to let it dry out so that I can easily mold it around my cookie jar. Then I chose my color palette and mixed up small amounts of each color so that I can add the frosting. I just want to take the time right now to thank you so much for hanging out with us here at L&J Goods today. We are always so happy to have you here and to create projects that inspire you to do your own DIY projects for your home or for gifting. While you're here, of course, we'd love it if you would go ahead and hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, and tell us what you think of what we're making today. While the air dry clay cookies are still soft, I have glued them to the surface of the cookie jar with Titebond Quick and Thick and then held them in place with some masking tape. You can find all the products that we've used today at lnjgoods.com and linked in the description box below. I allowed all of the air dry clay to dry completely and then gave it a coat of Debi's DIY Big Top and added some frosting details with a white contour pen. Again, I allowed this to dry completely before applying a coat of Debi's DIY white wax. And then, of course, I wiped off any excess. This holiday season, we made some big decisions at L&J Goods to go back to more of our roots of doing handmade, vintage, and thrifted items in the shop and not buying much of the mass-produced imported stuff. I found this felt ball garland upstairs in the storage area, so I cut it apart and then glued those balls onto some trees that were in our stash. It's one way to kind of use what we have instead of buying new. Now I'm going to add the final coat of color to this bucket. This color is called Walk on Water, and I mixed it with White Swan to get that pretty aqua color that I'm looking for. Because I had applied that coat of Big Top and let it dry completely, I can easily remove paint to give it that aged, chippy, and worn look that I desire.
Our Christmas memories. I've been working so much lately, I can barely find the time to sleep. Yeah, I spend my time running around, keeping people pleased. But this is my favorite holiday.
Here I'm just using a paint scraper to take off the excess.
So I'm letting go of everything but...
And because Debi's DIY clay-based chalk paint can be reactivated water, I will give it a mist and then wipe away some of the excess paint with a soft cloth. This will reveal all that texture and the beautiful colors underneath to give it a more authentic vibe.
Good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you and me. Hang by the fire and chill. Isn't this how it's supposed to be?
When the paint was completely dry, I added a layer of Debi's DIY clear wax.
And I've been longing to hold you close. Forget about everyone else. Isn't this how it's supposed to be? Making our Christmas memories.
And then to finish it off, a layer of Debi's DIY white wax. After I apply it to my whole piece, I'll wipe away the excess with a soft cloth. I love these two projects, and I am so excited that I can add to my bucket collection and that I have a gift for giving. And as luck would have it, after I made this wonderful aqua colored bucket, I found two other blue buckets, one of them at a local vintage shop and another one on Facebook Marketplace. I am a happy girl. Thank you so much for watching today. I'm so glad to be a part of this collaboration with Debbie to share all of her beautiful new colors.
Till the sun comes up. These are the good times with you. Baby, this year it's just gonna be you.
I sure hope that this video has inspired you to do some thrifting and some DIY making this holiday season. You can find all 5 of these new Debbie's DIY colors along with the entire DIY collection at ellenjgoods.com or at our brick and mortar shop in Medina, New York. Oh, Jen, this is awesome. There